everybody. I am so excited to have you join us today, and thank you for your patience. We've got Dr. Mario here. We're going to go ahead and talk about discrimination. And again, just want to remind everybody, you don't have to request a copy of the recording. You're going to get it. You can also access it anytime at our website, ChiroHealthUSA.com webinars/archives, or click on the archive button. So hopefully most of you know who Dr. Mario is, and if you don't, where have you been? He is absolutely amazing, and I'm going to say two things. One, if you are not following him on Facebook, you are doing yourself a huge disservice, because anytime there is something that is need to know within the chiropractic profession, Dr. Mario is like the first to post it all the time. Not to mention, you can send him your questions and he will answer those. He is just an incredible wealth of knowledge, and that's probably my earliest memory of meeting him almost a decade ago was, one, how easy he is to talk to, his willingness to share what he knows. And he has always been a huge resource for me when there are questions about things that I just don't know, because I'm not a chiropractor. And even though I've been working in chiropractic for 10 years, there's still a lot I need to know. He's a graduate of Palmer Chiropractic College. He has an amazing wife. Her name is Jenny. And if you ever see him out and about traveling the country talking, you can bet that his sidekick is going to be with him. And she is amazing. Seriously, I love Miss Jenny. I also love Dr. Mario, but I'm telling you, she is a showstopper. He is the first chiropractor to get his certified medical compliance specialist certification. He is a certified instructor for this certified medical compliance program. He has taught for the Illinois Chiropractic Society, because his office is based in Illinois, NCMIC, Foot Levelers, and many state associations across the country. He's been to 42 out of 50 states. He's been to Amsterdam, Belgium, Puerto Rico, and he's hoping to hit all 50 states. So if you're wanting Dr. Mario to speak in your state, reach out to me and let me know, and we'll see what we can do to make that happen. He is still in practice, which is crazy because he's teaching every weekend all across the country. And like I said, he's seeing over 60 patients a day. And what's even really amazing and not at all surprising, because he is like the most loved person in his community. He's been voted best chiropractor. He's been chiropractic of the year in his state, very active in his state association and in his community. But he doesn't do any advertising. Everything is referral based, because did I mention he's kind of amazing? Anyway, enough about Dr. Mario. I'm going to be quiet. Dr. Mario, it's all you.
Thanks, Christy. And in case everyone out there was wondering, no, I did not write that introduction, so it's very kind of her to talk about that, but I'm happy to be here with you today. And so we are going to be talking about Section 1557. Everyone says we're going to talk about discrimination. We're going to talk about anti-discrimination. And as Christy told you, I used to be a certified instructor for the compliance program, but now I teach all over the United States. And if you want to go to my website, askmario.com, I have my course schedule up there, and look for some changes. I'm going to be teaching an insurance certification course for Logan College of Chiropractic in 2020. So that's still not posted yet, but it's coming up. I'm on the Medicare Advisory Committee, so I get to meet with Medicare and talk to them about 3-4 times a year. I do teach for NCMIC, for ChiroHealthUSA, and for Foot Levelers, and I'll be coming to many states even in 2019 here, North Carolina, Illinois, Florida, Boston, Los Angeles, New York, all over. So Roanoke, Virginia. So anyway, you didn't want to hear about that, but that just wants you to know who we're talking about, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a lot of information here. Yes, they're going to archive this. I'll even give you an offer at the end of the class whereby you can get some notes from me, and so I'll tell you how to do that as well. But right now, it's like, let's talk about Section 1557 which is actually in relationship to the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act and in relationship to HIPAA as well. So I'm going to tie all that in and show you how that works in your office. I am currently practicing in full-time in practice, and I do teach as well, of course, throughout the weekends all the time. So I can tell you how we incorporated this into our practice. It's not a big deal if you prepare for it and if you just train staff on it, and guys, everybody talk about how you handle it in your office, okay? For other information, I'm always posting stuff. It's not your typical Facebook, but if you go to facebook.com/askmario. If you're not on there yet, just all you got to do is like me. And if you say, I don't do Facebook, tell one of your staff to go on there and put me in your notifications. Anytime anything different comes up. October 1st, we have a change in ICD-10 coding change as well. And my book was the newest edition of my ICD-10 coding book has just been released today. And so that's some new information as well. So facebook.com/askmario. I promise I won't put junk on there. This is how I can communicate to everybody, okay? All right, so let's get started here. And I'm going to add in a lot of stuff. It's not just the slides. So get a pad of paper, be prepared to write, and I'm not going to frantically, it's just, I want you, it's like if I'm doing personal coaching with you, okay? You know, part of HIPAA, part of compliance is you have to do a risk analysis. Everybody has a different office and a different community. It's interesting. Just in 2019, I literally have taught up in Oregon, I've taught in Maine, in New York, in Florida, in California, and everywhere in between. And everyone has different communities, different socioeconomic backgrounds of their patients, and you know, different offices even. You know, do you do trigger point therapy, soft tissue work, you know, a lot of PI work, whatever it is. And so since we all have different offices, we have to do a risk analysis, and the risk analysis is required by law. Okay, you need to do, and that's what we're going to start off with, is let's do a risk assessment of your office. So imagine it's just you and I talking about your office. Obviously, I don't know about your office, so you're going to answer with you and your staff different questions. And why we do this is because even the Department of Health and Human Services, who is the boss of Medicare, says the most appropriate means of compliance for any covered entity can only be determined by that entity assessing its own risks and deciding upon the measures that would mitigate those risks, okay? So it's required to be done. And, you know, a HIPAA audit, you know, we're always scared of audits, but, you know, I won't do Medicare, and Medicare can audit you. Blue Cross can audit you. The Board of Examiners can audit you. HIPAA can audit you. The OIG, the FBI, everybody. The good news is Walmart is hiring, you know, or Home Depot. The key is, if you do the right thing, it's like, bring it on, you know? And so what you need to do is to conduct an accurate and thorough assessment of the potential risks and vulnerabilities to the confidentiality, integrity, availability of protected health information, see? And so when you look at the law here, and this all ties in with the Section 1557, number one, there should be 2 manuals for sure, and probably a third. I have 3 manuals. One of them is a corporate compliance manual. That's required by law, okay? It's not a suggestion, it's required. A HIPAA manual, it's required. And then after that, you can do, you know, like a employee manual, and, you know, these could be just 3-ring binders. Okay, and if you need help with these things, I'm not trying to sell you anything here. I'm just telling you what you need to do, and if
Dr. Mario, can you hear me? We've lost sound. Hi, everybody, I'm getting your notification. If you'll stand by just 1 second. Everybody has lost sound, so just stand by. Do what? Hold on 1 second. The webinar has already started, Dr. Hunter. Dr. Mario just got kicked out of the room, and I'm on cell phone with him, and we're getting him connected. So stand by, everyone.
Good. Okay, we're back, folks. All right, technology. I'm out west right now, so that's why. Okay, so as we left off here, compliance. So the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act says that you must have these corporate compliance manuals, which would be the corporate compliance manual and the HIPAA manual. Okay, the most important thing is that staff has to be trained on it. There are 7 elements in the compliance program, and number 1 is to designate a compliance officer. So, doctor, are you the compliance officer, or do you have one designated? Okay. Implement written policies and procedures. Just so we understand what the written policies and procedures, a policy is a set of basic principles and associated guidelines formulated and enforced by the governing body of an organization. A policy is, we will do this. And when we talk about policies with Section 1557, we will not tolerate discrimination of any type, especially pertaining to blank, 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 okay? And I'll give you those kind of things. And then the procedure is step by step. If somebody files a complaint, who do they file it with? What are you going to do about it? And if it turns out that derogatory remarks were made about somebody by your staff, what would you do about it? This may never happen, but if it does, you want to make sure you're prepared for it, okay? So in HIPAA, we have what's called the general rule, and that's rule in section 164.502 of HIPAA. It says that a covered entity, and remember, a covered entity is an insurance company, a clearinghouse, or a provider, a doctor. We are chiropractors. We are a entity. You cannot use or disclose protected health information except as permitted or required, okay? And so protected health information is any information that will individually identify a person. And it's even photographs, DNA samples. Are you really going to use DNA samples in your office? No, but photographs, possibly. Okay, just like I went to a doctor's office one time, and they had pictures, meet our kids, and there was just hundreds of pictures of children on the wall, and I said, okay, show me the release signed by the parents for each of these kids, and they didn't have it. I said, take it down. That's a huge fine if ever found out about it. Okay, so protected health information, name, address, social security number, credit card information, but it's also photographs, medical records of people. And so what is the most common way of getting in trouble with HIPAA? Okay, I will tell you, it's called Facebook. Okay, anything you're putting on or your staff is putting on Facebook, even instant pictures. There was one, the CA, it was her first day. She took a picture of a selfie of herself in the office, except there were patient charts in the rack behind her, and you can blow up that picture and you can look at the patient's names, okay? That cost the doctor about $30,000 in fines, okay? So do you have a HIPAA manual? And yes, I wrote a HIPAA manual. You can get it at askmario.com, but if you don't have one, fine. If you do have one, is it up to date? And then information that we're going to talk about today with policies and procedures, that goes in the manual. And remember, you have to keep all information pertaining to HIPAA for 6 years from the date of last entry. And staff has to be trained on HIPAA once per year, 1 hour per year. Okay, they have to be trained on compliance 1 hour per year, and then 1 hour on other stuff. So, just have a staff meeting. I would say that this year would definitely count towards that hour as well. Okay, so all members of your office are to be trained on HIPAA compliance rules, and that's doctors, staff, even a significant other or spouse of the doctor who comes in the office just to help out or to bring patients back, or the doctor's children are in the office stamping envelopes, whatever. They need to be trained within a reasonable time limit after being hired. Typically that's helped to be 90 days, okay? And then you want to document your privacy training and any policies, procedures. Always have an attestation signed by the staff. In other words, what policies and procedures are you going to formulate today based on what I'm going to teach you? Then staff signs off and dates it so they can attest that they are aware and that they understand what the policies and procedures are, okay? And so when it comes down to it, did you make a good faith effort to be compliant? And you got to prove it, and that's your manuals, okay? And don't do like one doctor, he got audited by the FBI, and then I said, do you have a HIPAA manual? And he said, oh, I think Lisa took it. She was the one that turned him over for the FBI. She took the manual with her when she quit. Okay, so you don't want to do that, okay? Now, I'm not here to push manuals, but yes, I'm certified, actually double certified in compliance, and this is the stuff I do, okay? And so if you want to go to my website and all those kind of things here, okay? All right. So saying that, let's go ahead and talk about anti-discrimination and how it plays into it. Anti-discrimination is nothing different. In fact, when we look at discrimination laws, it was back in the Civil Rights Act of 1964 where federal law first came about and said that it protects individuals from many forms of discrimination. For example, those who qualify for federal health insurance programs such as Medicare or Medicaid may not be the subject of discrimination based on gender, race, or national origin. Now, you might say, I don't do Medicare, okay? I teach throughout the United States. Have you gone on your state's site for the Board of Examiners of Chiropractic? I have. And in there, they have this in every single state. And it's actually more extensive than this. So it's not just federal law, it's state law too that contends against it, okay? And in 1975, now this is an interesting little key fact here. The federal government prohibits age-related discrimination by healthcare providers receiving funds from Department of Health and Human Services. And the Anti-Discrimination Act of '75 covers everybody, not just people over the age of 18. Okay, so let's say if a certain office says we do not treat Medicare patients. Do you really not treat Medicare patients, or you just don't file with Medicare? And and this is not a class on this, but I've never seen case law yet that says where a patient contends you are discriminating against them because of their age. But there is case law out there, and in fact, MedLearn Matters says that chiropractor cannot opt out of Medicare. So if you see a Medicare patient, you must be approved by Medicare, and you have to file a claim either for active care or when the patient requested even for non-covered services. That's the law. So Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act actually took this another step further. So you have the Civil Rights Act, then the Age Discrimination Act, and now this here, okay? And this prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, but now they put in their disability. And actually, the way the law first was written, and right now the courts have upheld that portion, would be against people who are pregnant or gender identity. And that's what we want to talk about here today, okay? So I would just ask you, doctor and staff, okay, if a patient came in that was a transgender person, would you still treat them? Yes or no? Okay, now, most of you out there said yes, okay? That's your policy. I'm not disagreeing, I would too, but that's your policy, okay? If you had a person come in who was part of the LGBTQT society here, would you treat them? Yes. Okay, I'm assuming you would say yes, okay? Now, if you all say no, then that may be held as being discriminatory, okay? The bottom line is would you have a transgender person come in, but if you did, would you still have policies in place to make sure that doctor and staff do not discriminate, okay? And as we all know from our writings here, if it's not written down, it never happened, okay? So Section 1557 prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, disability, and I would even expand that. So if you want to, I don't care, take a picture of that. I'll offer you, as I said later, how to get notes on this here too, or watch it over and over again. But the key is, put in there even if a patient is pregnant, okay, or gender identity, okay? Now, this law here is to promote equity in healthcare and prevent discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, disability, and I would even add in there gender identity as well, okay? And this here is your actions. This is your action step, okay? So let's go through this here, and I'm going to give you action steps. Number one, you want to have what they call a compliance coordinator for Section 1557. It doesn't have to be a big deal, and I know it's like, when are we going to have time to see patients? It doesn't have to be a big deal, okay? It's like, who is going to kind of head this committee, if you will, okay? And, you know, doctor, you can do that, or have an office manager, somebody who hopefully is a stable part of your office. In other words, they're not going to quit tomorrow, okay? Have a Section 1557 grievance process. Okay, now, if you have a complaint, if a patient has a complaint that you are discriminating against me because I am a transgender person, who would they talk to about their grievance? All right. So the person you just thought about, that is your procedure. So policy, we will not discriminate. And then what you want to do is have in a grievance process. Now, this is where it gets a little difficult here, okay? Posting new notices in your building, on your website, in certain publications or communications on non-discrimination, available assistance, and patient rights. Okay, so let's talk about this here, okay? Number one, in your building. Okay, you can go fancy and have a plaque. Okay, you can actually, this is an easy way. This is what we did in our office. On mode, just type, print on the computer. This office does not discriminate against persons for race, color, national origin, age, and so forth. Okay, and then you put it into like an 8.5 by 11 frame, and you hang it in in your reception room. It's done. Okay, so really simple. It will take 10 minutes to do. Okay, do you have a website? Okay, let's talk about this now. If you have a website, number one, on your website currently, do you have your HIPAA privacy notice? That's the law, and it never changed. Okay, if you don't, get it done. All right, so let me tell you not only what you need to do, but how to do it. Okay, so whoever is your webmaster, okay, you have, I would assume, a HIPAA privacy policy. So you have an electronic version of a HIPAA privacy policy. If you need an updated one, there is one in my HIPAA book that you're welcome to use too. Okay, and then put that as your privacy policy as a link, and you send that to your webmaster. And this is what I recommend. On your website where it says contact us, at the bottom there, just put a link that says HIPAA privacy policy. And then they can click on that, and then up comes the PDF of your policy. It's done. In your policy, you should have 4 officers already in your office. Number one, you have a corporate compliance officer. Okay. Number 2, you have a HIPAA privacy officer. Number 3, you have a HIPAA security officer. And number 4, a HIPAA plaint officer. Okay. Now, this has been law. Okay. This has been going on for many years now. Did you do it? If you didn't, it could be the doctor. It could be the same person for all of them. You don't have to be an expert on this here. Okay. I consult with offices all the time. I've got several hundred clients that I work with, and even this weekend, I was talking to an office this weekend, and I was consulting with them. And then you can ask me questions, but you are the one, if you will, the manager of the office who makes sure this gets done. Okay? So put that into your HIPAA privacy policy. Must be on your website. Have some kind of tagline on your website. This office will not discriminate against persons for everything else that I talked about. Okay. Treating patients in a manner consistent with their gender identity. So, and I'll give you examples coming up, but if a person says, I don't want to be called he or she, and what would you like me to call you? It, they, whatever. And I'll show you where that will come up in your consultation. Not denying care to a patient based on sex, which includes their gender identity and sex stereotyping, and providing equal access to communication and electronic and information technology for individuals with disabilities. Now, many things in your office already are to accommodate the disabled. And I'm just going to do like a mental tour of my office, and you tell me if you have this in your office, okay? Number 1, from the parking lot coming into our office, do you have a ramp that a wheelchair can use? We actually have no curbs between the sidewalk and the parking lot, so a person who is disabled can come up into our office easily. Okay. Number 2, the doors, are they handicap accessible? Even the doorknobs, you'll notice like the old time doorknobs where you have the round doorknob, those are gone now, right? It's usually just a handle. Why? Because even a person with a stump can, an amputee can still hit that handle. Bathrooms, male and female bathrooms. There was a portion of this law, and you'll remember under President Obama, whereby you would have unisex bathrooms. That was struck down in the court in Texas in the federal court, and so right now it's being fought upon, but you don't have to have that. But think about it here. On your men and women signs for your bathroom, does it say, is there Braille underneath that? Ours, there are. You see, and those placards, if you will, men, women, are handicap accessible. Okay, if a person is deaf, and this here I know, if a person is deaf, it'd be actually best if somebody in the office did sign language. But according to the law, if you accept a patient for care, you, the doctor, have to pay for somebody to do sign language to help with somebody who maybe only does sign language and is deaf or deaf and mute, okay? So that's what that one line there, providing equal access to communication, electronic and information technology for individuals with disabilities, that's a heavy-duty process right there, okay? A recipient of federal financial assistance may not, based on, again, here you see it, race, color, national origin, and learning disabled persons deny service or other benefit provided as part of health or human service programs. Provide a different service or other benefit, or provide services or benefits in a different manner from those provided to others under the program, okay? So let's get a little touchy here. Let's say you have somebody who, whatever, you can make your own up there. But again, I'll just go back to our example, which would be like a transgender person here, and you offer massage in your office. Would you still offer massage to that person? Now, many of you, and I've taught this class live throughout the United States, would say, of course, I agree. I'm not disagreeing. You can't see me whether I agree or not, but I agree. I would too. But the key is, would you, number one, and number two, do you have a policy that pertaining to our services, and I'm giving you a policy here, pertaining to our service at the name of your clinic, we will not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, creed, or pregnancy or gender identity. That you will not segregate or separately treat individuals in any manner related to the receipt of any service or benefit. Bullet number 4, to utilize criteria or methods of administration which subject individuals to discrimination, and select a facility site. Now, this would be to a certain facility, and even in housing. And I don't know if anybody online here is from a chiropractic college. I've taught this for chiropractic colleges as well. And so again, as far as the dorms and so forth, okay? So hopefully this is at least spurring some thought. Now, discrimination based on disability. Section 1557 of the Affordable Care Act ensures that an individual is not excluded from participating in denied benefits because of or subjected to discrimination as prohibited under the Rehabilitation Act of '73. Now, here's an example. To accommodate patients who are disabled in stature or are in a wheelchair, we have bi-level countertops in our office to check in. And so if a patient has to fill out forms, then there is a countertop that is lower, okay? Now, do you have that in your office, or do you have some method of accommodation for those individuals who are disabled. All right. The door perhaps, and we would open the door for the person, but perhaps have an automatic button whereby they press on that and the door opens. Okay. Depending on your state, that might even be state law as well. Covered entities must not, on the basis of disability, exclude a person with a disability from a program or activity. So let's talk about the adjustment. Do you have a table that will stand upright, a treatment table? Do you have a table that will elevate, when you put it down flat, will elevate up and down? That table was first established to take in disabled people. You see? You don't even think about that because this is our natural everyday stuff. Okay? To deny a person with disability the benefits of a program or activity. Third bullet, afford a person with a disability an opportunity to participate in a benefit from a benefit or a service that is not equal to what is afforded others. Okay? In other words, will you accommodate them if, let's say, here's one. I have a patient with cerebral palsy. The patient has acute flexion deformity whereby he cannot lay on his stomach completely flat out. So we have pieces of our table, of our Thompson, our high-low table there, that will raise up and it will accommodate him. When he has therapy, rather than laying on the table for therapy, we either will use the table in treatment or we'll have him sit in a chair. You see, it's simple stuff. It's just teach your staff how to accommodate patients with disabilities. Okay? The last bullet there, apply eligible criteria that tend to screen out persons with disabilities unless necessary for the provision of a service program or activity. So, in other words, is a person eligible to receive your benefits, and for that matter, are they eligible to work in your office? I had a patient, an employee who was our insurance person one time, and she was about 4 foot tall. Okay, when she sat in a chair at the right height, her feet would not reach the floor. Okay, so to make her more comfortable, we actually, in Staples, actually have this here, whereby it was like a little step that you put underneath the desk there that she could rest her foot on. You see, I'm trying to show you how accommodating patients and staff, if they're disabled, is not always difficult. In fact, in our practice in Decatur, Illinois, but Department of Rehabilitative Services, if there's an office in your city, they actually will come out and help you to accommodate, the workstation of a person that is disabled. Okay, so there's ways you can do this. It's just if it happens. I've been in practice now 33 years. I've seen these kind of things. Okay, but again, put it in writing and do your staff training. Okay, so make reasonable modifications in the policies, procedures. The third bullet down, to avoid discrimination on the basis of disability. Provide auxiliary aids to persons with disabilities at no additional cost, which could be, somebody with sign language. Okay, so in our office now, we actually have somebody who does some sign language, which is pretty good. But what about in a bilingual practice? What is the most common language spoken in your community? English is probably number one, but what's number two? Now, you would assume it's Spanish, but when I was teaching up in Portland, Maine, it was French. And so, if you have a person who is bilingual in your practice, this will help with, not only filling out forms, but also consultation and treatment here, because part of preventing medical errors is understanding communication between the doctor, staff, and the patient, okay? And then I'm about to spill it down. Designate a responsible employee to coordinate the efforts with this section here. Adopt a grievance process. You know, who does a patient talk to if they want to complain of something that you're not providing here? Provide notice that indicates that the covered entity does not discriminate on the basis of disability. So again, add this into your tagline. Put that in your reception room on your website as well. Okay, if you have a Facebook site, maybe put it on there as well. And you know, talk about the process, have a process, the grievance procedures. Okay, all right. Discrimination based on age. The Office of Civil Rights enforces Age Discrimination Act of '75. I already alluded to that there. Under the Act, recipients may not exclude, deny, or limit services to or otherwise discriminate against persons on the basis of age. I am just waiting for a lawsuit that says, you know, you are, we're in a small rural area, there's no other chiropractor around for the next 100 miles, and you will not treat me because I'm a Medicare patient, okay? I'm just putting this out there. Okay, so, you know, again, if you have to be approved by Medicare if you're a chiropractor, and you have to be able to file claims for active services, okay? I'm just putting it out there, all right? Office Civil Rights also enforces that an individual shall not be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefit of, or be subjected to discrimination on the grounds prohibited under the Age Discrimination Act. This is a big topic of conversation when we're talking in a class, because there's so many chiropractors now who say, I do cash only, but again, you know, cash only, when it comes to Medicare, that doesn't work. And so it's usually a hybrid type of an office, okay? Education amendments of '72 prohibits discrimination on the basis of sex in federally assisted education programs. Again, this may not pertain to your office, but if there's a chiropractic college online, you know, again, I know I teach post-grad education for most of the chiropractic colleges. I was also adjunct faculty on Logan College of Chiropractic for many years here, and I know we had to accommodate people. As an example, if a person was legally blind, they would actually read the test to them. If my notes, there was a person that had to have a minimum of 20 font, and so I did the notes in 20 font for that person, okay? So this is being done already. Is how does that pertain to your office? That's what you got to look at, okay? So again, you know, whether it be, you know, race, color, creed, national origin, age, disability, pregnancy, and then the one that's not here is gender identity as well. Okay, so if you wish, there are many, you could do look on YouTube. There are many YouTube video on improving patient-provider communication. There's a 4-part video about this on YouTube, and I'm just letting you know that. Just do a search on anti-discrimination practices on YouTube, and you'll see the videos there as well. And keep in mind that in all aspects of your office, you want to have consistent office procedures. If you do this for one group of patients, you should always have that available for other groups of patients, and therefore consistency is the key, all right? And so, you know, as an example, number one, you want to verify the identity of the person, okay? Do you do this for everybody? The answer is yes, it's the law. All right, because a person may contend you're just doing that because I'm, you know, in our example we use transgender. All right, so you want to look at their insurance card, but also look at their government-issued photo ID. All right. Keep in mind, whatever it says on their insurance card, even if they go by, you know, a different name, if their name is John L. Smith, that's the way it goes on the claim form. Okay. So verify the identity. When you're doing, and I'll explain to you how this comes in. When you do the history of the patient, you have the chief complaint, the history of present illness, the review of systems, but then comes in the past family and social history. Okay, so when you're looking at the past health history, you're looking at complicating factors, but you're looking at any surgeries. So that may give you some cues as to any surgery they may have had out of the ordinary, as an example. Okay, when you look at surgical history, you know, where do they have, you know, it is consistent. And every doctor should be doing this, including all of us, and I do this too, is where did you have the surgery, when, what was the outcome, the limitations, restrictions, do you have any implants? Now, implants could be anything from a hip prosthesis to breast implants to other implants, okay? So this is what you do. And this is how you want to handle that. And so if a patient contends that, you know, you are discriminating against me by asking these questions, this is your normal protocol, all right? And I think, you know, probably the most important factor is the social history. Remember, these are our lifestyle factors. You know, marital status, employment history, occupational history, use of drugs, alcohol, tobacco, level of education, sexual history. You know, I always teach, you know, sexual history pertains to HIV, AIDS, you know, hepatitis C I include in there as well, but you can do identity, sex change operations, whatever here. You know, this is where you're finding out about the person. This portion right here is typically where a patient will tell me, and here's an example. I had a couple come in, and they were both female, but they're husband and wife, and you know, they're partners. And one, I said, I'm Dr. Mario Fucinari, and she introduced herself, and she said, I'm the husband. And so, you know, that I just took it as no big deal. But the key is that she kind of told me right there. Patients are usually forthcoming about it. I have no problems talking about it and teaching you about it here, but it's because, you know, I treat I always say, as long as they have a spine, we'll take care of them, okay? And so your financial policies, it's the same way, all right? Make sure that when it comes to financial policies, that you don't have special deals with your patients. Because again, someone might say you're discriminating against me. Okay, I know Dr. Foxworth from ChiroHealthUSA. He always gives the example. He was trying to help a person out, and then when she got in an auto accident, his fee schedule was different, and she, you know, put her finger in his chest and saying, "It's people like you who give, you know, chiropractors a bad name." And like, why? Well, it's because you're charging, you know, a higher fee just because it's a car accident. No, that is my fee. And you want to, you know, explain and be consistent in your office. And never say your insurance covers, okay? Staff, listen to this. Never say your insurance covers 80%, you know, whatever. It's because if you call and you check, or you check online, what does it say about their benefits? It does not guarantee coverage. And so that's why the line, teach your staff there, everybody, according to your insurance carrier, your coverage is blank, blank, okay? And then this way, a person, you know, doesn't have all these special deals. And a lot of times these special deals are illegal, okay? And so when they ask how much, you know, our fee is your fee, you know, according to the insurance contractual obligation, according to your insurance, you have to pay $20 each visit. Or, you know, even my insurance, I have good insurance, I have Blue Cross, I have a $7,000 deductible, all right? And so, and if the patient, I had a patient come in 20 years old, and she has $11,000 deductible. So, at that point here, we love to make deals with our patients. And when you make deals with patients, the doctor is making these side deals here, and the staff is just totally confused. So, do you offer discounts, or you don't collect copays or deductibles, make side deals? What did I charge stats? If I asked the doctor which accounts receivable, one doctor had almost $1 million in accounts receivable. Okay, it told me that doctor wasn't getting paid for all the services he was doing. Okay, and so the key to all this section here is, even in your financial policies, you want to have legal, documented financial policies, so someone does not contend that you are discriminating against them, because the staff gets confused as to what are they supposed to be paying and when, and that gives a problem. Even a time of service discount, ChiroHealthUSA talks about this here, but you may not know it, but the Office of Inspector General said nationally that time of service discount should not be over 15%. So what is your time of service discount? And again, they, being the patient, may contend that you are discriminating against them for whatever reason. And so you want to be consistent with everything you do, the treatments you do, the services you offer, the forms that you have and accommodate disabled people here, as well as your financial policies here, okay? Even in the examination room, I like to escort the patient to the examination room, and, sometimes it's delicate. I had a construction worker, a big burly guy, and he said, well, I have pantyhose on. And I was like, that's fine, but you'll have to remove them because I'm going to be testing you with prick, okay? So, be, as an example, what comes off, keep that patient covered. And again, I'm not going to go online here and tell everybody, the patients we've had, but I'm sure everyone out there has a different story that sometimes, like a patient might say, it's nothing you haven't seen before. And I say, well, yes, but I haven't seen yours. Okay, I'm kidding, but the key is you want to be consistent with everything. And I unfold the gown, put the gown, lay it out for them. Please put it on with the opening in the back, because I see them putting their legs through the armholes and everything else here. And always, this is professional boundaries too. Tell them to open the door when they're changed, and the staff has alerted them to take their blood pressure. Okay, all right. So with the anti-discrimination laws here, hopefully I gave you something in our quick little talk here. Hopefully I gave you something that will make you, just talk among your staff and establish what ifs. What ifs are our policies? And what if this comes in, this happens in our office, how do we respond to that? And, HIPAA is huge. It's not just the internet. Nowadays we have anti-discrimination, we have active shooters, emergency protocols, everything that you need to be prepared for. So talk it over with your staff. And, you may miss things here, so this will be archived. Play it again and again. That's fine with me, okay? So, look at the manuals here. In fact, this promo code ICS19, you'll get a discount here. I just came out with my ICD-10 book. I think it's up on the website, but if you put in SAVE5, capital S, and then AVE, and then the number 5, no space in there, you'll get a discount even off of the ICD-10 book for 2020, okay? So some final thoughts. You must make a good faith effort. You may not think of every little thing. You may not think of every, for instance, but if you have an older office, men and women, are they handicap accessible? in the bathrooms? How about the placard, the sign? You can order them off of Amazon or, whatever, Staples, whatever, and that is handicap accessible for the blind. You should have a corporate compliance manual and a HIPAA manual. That's the law, okay? Do it, get it done, forget about it, okay? And then each year, review it. Do a risk assessment. I've given you, if you're saying, yes, my office needs to do that, it's your risk assessment. Even these notes that you took during this webinar here, keep them. Copy it, put it in your manuals, okay? This shows that you tried to do a good faith effort here as well, okay? And, HIPAA is nothing more than best practices that are intended to protect PHI. And so perform that risk analysis, train, then train again, document all your decisions, and just do it. And speaking of, documentation here, what I am going to do, and I'm doing this for your group because you guys have been so patient with all our technical difficulties here. If you send me an email, there's nothing to this here. It's just strictly, it's a 2-page checklist that I put together. And if you send me an email, and my email is doc@askmario.com. So doc@askmario.com. Just in the subject line, all you got to do is put section 1557. Okay. I will send you, even if you're doing this on archive, I will send you an attachment which has everything that I talked about as far as the section 1557. Okay. If you want step-by-step procedures and other things with HIPAA, then consider the manuals that I have available. Okay. All right. We've got just a few minutes left here. So Christy, if there's any questions, I'll take those. Otherwise, they can always email me with questions. I'm happy to help them out. Okay.
Wonderful. We had a request from somebody that said, what were the 4 types of compliance?
Christy, there.
Can you hear me? Mario?
Christy's logging in. I love this software, Christy. All right. So again, if you have questions coming up in our remaining minutes, I'll take those. If not, for the materials, put section 1557 in the header and send it to doc@askmario.com. Please send it there, and then I will answer. And I am not in the office today. I'm out west traveling, so I'll be happy to send those out to you as soon as I can, which might even be today. Okay. All right.
Dr. Mario, can you hear me?
All right. Anything else?
Dr. Mario, can you hear me?
All right. Then I thank you very much for your timing here. And again, if you have any further questions, give me a call. Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody, I don't think Dr. Mario can hear me, but hopefully you can. Just a reminder, the webinar was recorded. There are like a million requests to get some sort of proof that you attended today for your compliance manual. We already have that in the works, so please, there's a lot of you, and only a few of us. So give us about 24 hours. Those will be automatically emailed to you along with the link to this recording. I am so sorry about the audio issues when he reconnected. He is on vacation and he was communicating via Wi-Fi, but all the questions, since he couldn't hear me, that you submitted, so Dr. Robin, and that was a great question that you had. So all of y'all, I will get those answered for you. That's Mario calling me right now. So I'm going to ask him and I'll send those to y'all in an email. So thank you so much for attending today. We look forward to having you join us next week. I'm looking to see, we're talking about PI next week with Scott Tauber. So that should be a pretty interesting conversation. We're getting more and more requests to talk about PI. Week after that, 9/17, we're going to be talking about utilizing technology in your practice to enhance the patient experience. If any of y'all were at SA National, it was all about tech. These were there were 1,200 people in a room listening to these incredible speakers. One of them was our guest speaker, Dr. Jay Greenstein. So make sure you register early and get in on that. Again, thank y'all so much for your patience. Love y'all so much, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye. And I love you too, Rebecca. Bye, everyone.